someone who may be more leaning towards the serial type of killer. I know through my sources they are working very hard now to make a determination as to whether or not Bryan Kohberger is responsible for other unsolved or cold case murders. So it is very common with respect to someone who has this type of fetish with respect to stalking these type of individuals and then carrying out these.
This is Reporter Room with Jessica Della Davies.
Hello, Reporter Room investigators. My name is Jessica Della Davies. I'm an investigative journalist. My job is to investigate crimes, crime scenes, and potential suspects and show you how to do the same thing. If you haven't subscribed, please join the Reporter Room family and subscribe, like, and leave me a comment. Everything I'm sharing is my opinion, and this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Let's get started. Today, I also want to talk about the Bryan Kohberger case because the other roommate, the sixth roommate, Ashlin, who moved out prior to this November 13th of 2022 crimes, she is finally speaking out in the Bryan Kohberger case. This is heartbreaking to hear, and I really have a lot of sympathy for Ashlin. I can't even imagine what it would be like to lose all of your friends like this so quickly. So Ashlin Couch sent her final text message to Maddie after receiving an alert from her alma mater, University of Idaho, that somebody had been done away with on the same road as where she lived, because she lived at the 1122 King Road house. Xana replaced her as the roommate. So she graduated in May of 2022 and relinquished the remainder of her lease and her bedroom to Xana. Apparently, Xana took Ashlin's place on the lease at the 1122 King Road house. So if Ashlin hadn't moved out when she did, this could have happened to her as well. The University of Idaho sent out a text message to its community the next day noting that a suspected crime, I'm watching my words here, on King Road, and she felt this really strange pang in her heart. She said, quote, "I remember, I think, getting a second alert, or I had been driving and I texted our group of friends and I just said, has anyone heard from Maddie?" And she was crying while she shared this. And that's when Ashlin rushed to text Maddie a message that would not be responded to, a message that would not be read. She said, quote, "I feel like right there and then I just kind of knew something was wrong." She said that Maddie and Kaylee and herself were all like sisters. She said the fact that Maddie and Kaylee that were in the same bed says a lot about how close they were. Her name was still on the lease at the 1122 King Road house. She said, quote, "It crosses my mind that could have happened while I was there, and you never know like how long someone is watching your house." So she changed her hair color from blonde to brown, and I'm wondering if this was in response to being afraid of what had happened at the house. And if one person could be watching her, maybe somebody else could be also. She said that the thought induced panic in herself throughout the weeks where they had not arrested BK. And it even lasted after BK was arrested for the crime. She said, quote, "I couldn't even walk to my car in the dark months after it happened. Like you just want to at least feel a bit safer." She said that her grief had inspired her to kickstart a new foundation in honor of her friends. Now, her foundation is going to focus on raising awareness and educating students on social media safety. It's called Made with Kindness Foundation, and it works to teach students how to protect themselves from home, especially because the actions of other people are beyond their control. She said, quote, "Horrible people are going to do what they're going to do. They did absolutely nothing wrong." And despite her best efforts, she said that she still has a hole in her heart. She said, quote, "You wish that you could just say goodbye. And that's one thing I just wish I could do, at least one more time. Just give Maddie one last hug to say goodbye." I wonder how she feels about the fact that her Moscow, Idaho home, which once held so many happy memories for her, was completely torn down by the University of Idaho. This was a controversial decision, as you well know, and a lot of people, including the families of the 4 victims, did not want this house to be torn down, but the university did it anyway. I have some upcoming news on Police Chief Fry that I'm going to share with you in just a moment. So please stay with me. We're going to have another hearing with Judge John Judge. He's the Latah County District Judge that's overseeing the BK case. And it's going to be held on May 14th, but it's going to be behind closed doors. So I will not be able to live stream that one for you guys. We know that the landlord did donate this 6-bedroom rental house where Ashlin, Maddie, Kaylee, Xana all lived with Bethany and Dylan. And then Ethan just happened to be spending the night that night. At the next hearing, it's anticipated that the prosecution and defense will discuss specific terms of discovery that may or may not be admissible at trial, which is why we can't hear what it is. The disclosure of such evidence to the public at this stage in the case is not appropriate and may prejudice the jury pool, said Judge John Judge. Okay, so Chief Fry, who's the Moscow police chief, or at least he was, had announced plans to retire, and now he's announcing plans to run for the Latah County Sheriff. This was confirmed by Newsweek. And he said, quote, "There's some things I'm looking at doing, getting out into smaller communities and trying to develop some community policing policies out there." He also said, "There's, quote, things I'd like to bring to the table that we did here in Moscow." A lot of people feel like Chief Fry did a great job bringing in the Idaho State Police and the FBI and getting this case solved so quickly. He said in his resignation, quote, "It's been my honor to serve and protect the citizens of Moscow and contribute to the law enforcement profession throughout my career. The Moscow Police Department has embodied the ethos that to whom much is given, much will be required, and we understand the trust that is placed in our officers who are serving in their communities." So according to the city of Moscow, Chief Fry spent almost 29 years with the Moscow Police Department, where he held ranks of patrol officer, patrol corporal, patrol and detective sergeant, services and detective unit lieutenant, campus division captain, and he served for 8 years as the chief of police. Chief Fry did a great job of securing the 1122 King Road house quickly. He immediately knew that it was going to be too much for his small police department, who hadn't had a crime like this in over 8 years. And he reached out right away to the Idaho State Police. And he said, quote, "We did our due diligence in getting the things that we needed to do, that this be a solid case all the way through. We," and he's talking about the state lab here, "collected the evidence." So I wish him all the best. So what do you think about Ashlin coming back into the picture? What do you think about this case? And join the Reporter Room family. Please subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you next time.